Good evening, you're watching Estuary News. Coming up, we head to Hesel, where vandals have targeted the skate park. We find out why bus lanes are causing a headache for One Hole Fish Shop. And we head to Louth to find out how the town hall has become a music venue to keep afloat. And we ask people in Grimsby what they think money needs to be spent on in the town. Welcome to Estuary News. I'm Erica Barker, but first here's the news headlines.
Hello there. Organisations in the Greater Lincolnshire area have submitted an expression of interest to the government to bring more local power and responsibility to the area. The proposals ask for the area to be devolved powers to set priorities and make spending decisions. Local artists and musicians have come together to raise awareness of modern-day slavery. 17 thought-provoking videos with powerful images and song will be played at Hull's Freedom Festival, aiming to raise awareness of human trafficking and child labour. The Stolen Lives project was created by the Wilberforce Institute and Hull University.
So it goes from talking about William Wilberforce and the original abolitionist campaign right through to children working in the chocolate farms in the Ivory Coast, and also the 2022 World Cup in Qatar and how slavery is involved in all of that.
And I hope stimulate lots of discussions about, as I say, the arts and social activism, and how plays, how music, drama, animation, how all of these things can help us to promote understanding and awareness of slavery and the urgent need to do something about it.
A service to remember fishermen lost at sea will take place this Sunday in Grimsby. The service, which will be held at the Fishermen's Chapel in the town, will be an opportunity for colleagues and loved ones to remember fishermen who died at sea, whose bodies were never found. Port Missioner for Grimsby, Anthony Jewett, outlined why the service is important for all involved.
Yeah, it's very important because obviously in the past when people have been lost overboard, it's about recovering of that person, and 99 times out of 100 they're not recovered, and so there's no sort of lasting memorial. There's nowhere that they can visit as such places like the cemetery.
The Humber region is fortunate to be hosting such a prestigious event in the World Seafood Congress. That's according to the chairman of the Grimsby Fish Merchants Association, Steve Norton, ahead of the event which starts on Monday. It's been used to discuss the trade, sustainability and upskilling of the fishing
We're very
industry.
fortunate to have this. It's a biannual event, and last time it's in Canada, next time's probably going to be in Iceland. The pitch was put in, say, 2 years ago. I think it's very important to Grimsby because Grimsby is still the centre of seafood processing. We have more processing in this area than they do anywhere else in the UK. And I think it's a great opportunity to showcase the expertise and innovation that we have for our local industry.
A group of Dutch people arrived at Humberside Airport to see the sights of northern Lincolnshire, following a team of 30 villagers from Kermington who flew out to Holland just over 3 months ago to mark the 70th anniversary of the priceless food drops that were launched from the RAF base during the Second World War. Events as part of a 3-day stay will include the 12 people from Tagaba visiting museums and memorials.
We have been invited here by the people in Kermington, and we have looked forward to be here, and we will have a very good weekend.
Part of that celebration in May was the twinning of the village of Kermington, which Humberside Airport, where we are now, is in the parish of Kermington. We twinned with Tagaba, which was the place where the RAF Squadron number 166 which was based here at RAF Kermington, dropped the food back in 1945 to save the starving Dutch people. And the Dutch people have never forgotten what the RAF and the squadron at Kermington did for them.
A special festival highlighting Grimsby's heritage will take place this weekend. The Festival of the Sea coincides with the start of the World Seafood Congress and will showcase performance and music that highlights the fishing heritage of Grimsby. Local author Rebecca Maskell, who's taking part in the event, says that the support of local people is crucial for events like this.
Absolutely, yes. I think it's about being proud of, that people in your area are making the effort to do something and to support them and come along to events. And I've had nothing but brilliant support from local people at book clubs and at different events that I've done, and the book launch. You know, lots of people came over to Lincoln, and it was so kind of them.
And finally, don't forget the Freedom Festival gets underway in Hull tonight. The festival's opening night spectacular will be centred around the River Hull from 9 p.m. That's all from me for now. If you've got any news for us, don't hesitate to get in touch on 01472 31 553 or email news@estuary.tv. Bye for now.
Vandals have put a skate park in Hessel out of action. The facility, which is popular with youngsters, was targeted a few weeks ago. Well, we sent a reporter to find out what happened.
Children in Hessel are losing out after the town's skate park, put in place because local children complained about the lack of leisure facilities, was targeted again by vandals.
Well, we do get isolated incidents of vandalism to the skate park from time to time, but this particular instance is really, really bad, very, very serious. As you can see, the top of the ramp has been damaged, the side ramp has been damaged, and it's just got to be put right.
The consequences of the vandalism are clear to see, and it has been reported to the police. The councillors at Hessel Town Council aren't happy about the ongoing spate of vandalism at the park and have branded the vandals as idiots.
Well, I can only say it's mindless. I don't know whether David wants to add anything.
Yeah, I agree with David. I mean, this is unlikely to be the people who use the facility. This is some idiots who've been here of an evening over the weekend. There's been bottles of broken glass scattered about. They've obviously lit a fire and caused damage. And whilst there's a cost to getting it repaired, what is really annoying is it's depriving youngsters of Hessel of facilities during the summer holidays.
The town council estimates that it will cost around £1,000 to repair the damage to the skate park and are exploring options regarding putting CCTV cameras on the site. But in cash-strapped times, it's money the council will struggle to find.
It is, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's a facility for the kids of Hessel, and we've got to keep maintaining it. So, no doubt, one way or another, we will find it. But why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, just a waste. I mean, we are looking at putting CCTV in as a means of trying to deter this kind of attack in the future. But again, that involves an expense, which we'd much rather avoid spending money on.
The town council are appealing to the local community for any information and have a strong message for anyone who was involved in the vandalism.
We're appealing for any information. If we can find out who did it, we would be pursuing those for the cost of repairing it. And let's face it, the kind of people who've done this kind of damage really ought to be picked up and investigated by the police, because if they're doing this sort of thing, what else are they up to? So it's depriving the community, but we want this stamped out.
You're watching Estuary News. Still to come. Motorists' lack of understanding when it comes to bus lane fines in Hull is affecting trade. That's according to one business. We find out Groomberians' opinions on investment in the town, and we'll bring you the latest local sports news ahead of the weekend. Times haven't been easy for community halls, and they've often fallen on hard times financially. But Louth Town Halls say they're leading the way by attracting big named acts and community groups. We went along to see what they're doing that is different to other venues in Lincolnshire.
Community halls haven't had an easy time, with budget cuts to councils meaning council-run venues are struggling and community groups don't have the money to maintain them. The hall in Louth is making a success of itself, so much so it's looking for future investment.
Well, there's two parts to it. One, we need to get footfall to come through. We need the people of Louth and the surrounding area to come in and have a look at what we can do, because they sort of grew out of coming in over a period of years. And secondly then is to actually make sure that this wonderful building keeps in the state that it should be in. So part one is doing things that get people in that they want to see, that they want to get involved in, and part two then is maintaining this place that we could probably spend £250,000 a year on.
Like most similar venues, Louth Town Hall can attract entertainment acts, including some big names like Heather Small. But it's planted its roots firmly in the community. It's this large community focus that keeps the venue open every day, with it being constantly used by the community.
We're not just an entertainment venue, we do other things as well. So we're an education venue, We run teacher training. We're the home of the Leaders of the Future education program for young people to help them learn how to run a business. We have the Mighty Legends F1 simulator, the only one of its type in the area, which is an engineering training simulator. We work with community groups all day and every day. So this place is in use from 9 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night with local community groups, because we went out to get the partnerships, to get them to want to come here, to get the focus back.
Andy says the backup programme involving the community is the reason the hall has been a huge success and will be able to stay open for many years to come.
But you've got to have a backup program that will enable the place to run if the entertainment stuff falls on its nose, and occasionally people don't have the money or you pick the wrong artist, so you've got to have the backup. And we deliberately set out the backup to make sure we were viable. But yeah, it's hard work, skin of teeth time, hanging on by your fingernails sometime, but we're still here after 3 years and we're not going to go away. So I suppose you could argue that we're working, yes.
The introduction of bus lane fines is affecting profits when it comes to a fish shop in Hull, they say. And what needs further investment in Grimsby? We took to the streets to find out after the break. Welcome back. The offshore wind industry is expected to bring millions of pounds to the Humber. But what needs further investment? We asked these people in Grimsby Town Centre what they would spend money on.
Everything. Put more investment into everything. I don't know, it's too difficult to answer, I think, that one. I can't answer it. I'd just say everything.
Things for the kids, because there's nothing for them, they're always on the streets, like parks, more youth centres and things like that. But yeah, that's it.
Well, the wind farm sector's coming up big. I think that it should be spent in training our old fishermen into get them into wind farm work, personally, because they've all got the talents there and they just need it tuning up, and then they've got good crews to go out on the wind farm boats.
In terms of investment, I think that there's quite a lot of work still needing to be done in terms of employment. There's a very young, very capable number of people in this area. I think that there's a lot more opportunities to be given to people, certainly from this area, hopefully with wind farms and hopefully with a lot of the sort of energy initiatives that are in the pipeline.
Everywhere you look around, there's unemployment, there's the housing to encourage people to come in business-wise. Lots.
Got nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Been lacked by the council. What's the expression when you haven't got no confidence in them?
There's nothing
They've
here.
They've spent money where they shouldn't.
No cinema. There's no bowling alley. It's all in Cleethorpes. There's nothing here for anybody.
Well, actually, I was born in Cleethorpes and I know Grimsby very well. And I totally do agree. I think it does need more investment. The docks used to be a thriving docks, used to be a good fishing port, which is non-existent now. But it's still a good town, good people.
Well, with me looking at the stories in the news then is the lovely Dan Kemp. Hello Dan, how are you?
Not bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Not bad
good.
At all.
Shall we kick off with the Hull Daily Mail?
Let's kick off.
This is a gang making lives a misery on East Hull's Ings estate.
Right.
One of the concerned residents is Steve Broom, and he's been saying that over the last month, a gang of up to 30 people, who he recognises as between 14 and 17 roughly years of age, have been causing havoc apparently on the estate, smashing windows, bus shelters, ripping bins off walls, starting fires and shouting abuse at residents.
That's awful. So what's been done about that then?
Well, the police have been looking into it and they've actually stepped up their patrols, and they're warning that they could apply for antisocial behaviour orders to crack down on troublemakers if they find that the problem doesn't go away. Obviously, the hope from residents like this is that they've sort of had the fun and that's it now. They're going to be
right. So the residents have gone to the paper to say that this is happening on their estate and they want something done about it. Really.
Absolutely, and you can understand it because you wouldn't want that living.
No, not at all.
Being wherever you're living.
No, not at all.
It's fair enough. Right, next story is also in the Hull Daily Mail. This is that raw meat has been stored with, along with chocolate gatto.
You're not talking about your kitchen, are you?
No, thankfully not. But this, worryingly, this is the kitchen of a local takeaway in Hull. and they've had a £6,000 fine. This is Bodrum in Hull. I know it's a regular place where we've been out before in town. It's near Position nightclub. That's somewhere that that a lot of people tend to go and have takeaways, and I don't think people will be going there anymore. However, these were the former owners of the takeaway, so obviously it's changed since. On George Street in the town.
So does it have different owners now?
Yes, they've had different owners. The previous owners have had a £6,000 fine after inspectors found raw meat resting on chocolate gatto. That was one of the things. They also found other serious hygiene risks, including a staff member smoking while preparing food, numerous flies, and no hand wash facilities in food preparation areas as well.
But let's make it clear that it does have new owners.
Let's make that clear. Yes, very clear. It's not the same people anymore.
No, not
and
the same people.
Perfectly fine.
I'm sure it is.
Yes. The next story is in the Beverley Guardian, which is a paper we don't often feature, so I thought we'd give it a go. This is that Humberside Police are investigating a burglary at Beverley Minster. So this story's been on the radio. No, yesterday I heard that on the radio.
So what is it that happened then?
They've smashed a stained glass window, I think, to gain entry into the church, and they've stolen a collection box which was knocked off the wall with its contents stolen. And the Reverend Jeremy Fletcher, who's the vicar of Beverley Minster, said to the paper that obviously donation boxes in some smaller churches would have a lot of money in it, but because they empty it regularly, they've kind of been saved, and they think it's going to be about £50 that they've lost.
Right.
So it's obviously still very concerning.
Yeah, definitely.
But thankfully they haven't got away with too much, which kind of makes it even all the more frustrating, I would have thought, for the people that go there.
No, completely.
But a 20-year-old Beverley man has been arrested as he climbed down from the scaffolding and was questioned about the incident. So he didn't get very far, did he?
Oh, so is that
been
who did
released
it then? Right, okay.
Pending further inquiry. So we can't say he's done it, but
yeah,
he's been arrested on suspicion of it.
Right, okay.
Right, shall we move on to Guy Martin?
Yep.
He's the Kirmington motorcyclist. He had a crash at the Ulster Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago, and he was taken to hospital and he injured his vertebrae in his spine. He's a truck mechanic and he's already back at work, which is fairly remarkable. I think he's taken to Facebook to keep people updated. He said he's had his head down for a couple of weeks, but because he didn't want the world knowing he'd spanned himself, which I think must be the industry term, because I'm not familiar with that.
I was going to say, I'm not sure of that one.
But it turns out the world knew already, as you would have seen his Facebook.
It's great news that he's feeling
yes,
better.
And he's thanked his helmet providers, because he said without the quality of helmets they have nowadays, he probably wouldn't be here after hitting the ground at 130 miles an hour.
Yeah, we'll have to leave it there though, but thank you. Bus lane fines have been introduced in Hull, but one business owner says their profits have now been cut by a third. To access latest fisheries in Hull, motorists are required to cross a bus lane, but they say because people fear being fined, which is actually not the case in this instance, they're deterred from walking through the doors.
Family-owned Latest Fisheries has been operating on Holderness Road for many years. However, now the owners claim that their business is being damaged after the installation of cameras on a bus lane outside the shop.
Yes, well, they installed a bus lane many years ago, and I mean, there's a good, solid purpose, a good reason to have a bus lane. But the problem we have now is that they've moved on to using cameras to monitor these lanes. And a few years ago, we gave a part of the land at the front of the shop to the council so that they could build a lay-by. Now that lay-by has worked well for us, but now there's a camera positioned looking straight down on the lay-by, and the general public who don't understand particularly bus lanes are frightened to come into the bus lane, or should I say across the bus lane, into the lay-by.
The fine for incorrectly using the bus lanes is £60, and for Mr. Latest the problem is down to misunderstanding of how the bus lanes and enforcement cameras work. Like the fact that pulling across a bus lane into a lay-by is perfectly legal according to the City Council's website.
It is a fact, and people are scared of cameras. It's a £60 fine. They think they'll pull in for their fish and chips, as they're perfectly legally allowed to do, and they're allowed to get a £60 fine. I would point out that I think there's a general opinion that the camera is a snapshot camera. It isn't a snapshot. I'm assured it's a video, so that the person operating the monitoring of it can see that you are pulling into a lay-by and not just using the inside lane as to get through.
Mr Laters has been in contact with the council and it seems they are educating people about correct bus lane use. They recently announced that as of last week, during peak periods across the city, incorrect bus lane use has fallen by 70%, with a reduction from 564 motorists to 124. And the council says this is due to people becoming more aware of the presence of the bus lanes. As the numbers of people being fined continues to fall, the trade could return to latest fisheries. Mr Laters is happy to see the council are taking him seriously and are going to continue educating people about the new bus lanes.
They've had this meeting last Wednesday, and as a result of that meeting they did contact me and they did say that they would be endeavouring to put more signage up and they would endeavour to educate the public. I know they've got this on board because of all the publicity over the ambulances and such like. People don't know what to do.
Now it's time for the sports news.
Scunthorpe United host Blackpool at Glanford Park tomorrow. The Iron are hoping to pick up maximum points against the bottom of the table team. However, Mark Robbins will hope his defence will be less charitable, having let a two-goal lead slip last week at Colchester. Paul Hurst will be hoping his Grimsby side can be more clinical in front of goal at Boreham Wood tomorrow. The Mariners are already 12 points behind surprise early leaders Forest Green. And North Ferriby United travel to Brackley Town looking for their second win of the season, having registered 5 successive draws since that only win. Hull City are without a game and have a number of players on international duty this weekend. Andy Robertson, Sean Maloney and Alan McGregor are all with Scotland, while David Myler is in the Republic of Ireland squad to face Gibraltar. After their Challenge Cup final 50-0 defeat last Saturday, Chris Chester will be hoping his Hull KR side can bounce back and continue their impressive league form, having won their last 3, when they host Wakefield on Sunday. Meanwhile, next week's game at home to Bradford Bulls has been switched to Saturday and a 3 p.m. kick-off due to TV. Elsewhere, Hull FC are at Warrington Wolves on Sunday, having won 27-26 in the last game between the sides. And another line of FC news, the club have also handed a 1-year contract extension to Feka Paliasina, who is now in his 3rd season with the club. Now that's all for now. Don't forget to get in contact with any sports stories you have for us. You can call 01472 31553, email sport@estuary.tv or search for us on Facebook or Twitter @estuarytv. And that's all for the sport.
Well, that's all for this evening. If you've a news story, then visit our Facebook or Twitter pages, details on the screen, or email news@estuary.tv or phone us on 01472 315561. Until next time, goodbye.
Estuary TV weather, sponsored by Grimsby Institute for a brighter future.
Hello and welcome to Estuary TV's weather. A brighter day on Saturday with some sunny spells and it should remain dry. Remaining cool as well with maximum temperatures of 15 degrees. Sunday it'll be dry and settled, feeling pleasant with some sunny spells.
Estuary TV weather, sponsored by Grimsby Institute for a brighter future.